Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. This is Multifamily Chronicles, and I'm your host. This is episode number 25. My guest today is Patrick Antrim. Patrick is the CEO of Multifamily Leadership. Welcome to the show, Patrick.
Hey, it's great to be here and be on the other side of the conversation.
Excellent. Patrick, for starters, would you please show a little bit about your professional, personal background with the audience?
Yeah, so I got my start in multifamily in a very unique way. I trained early in life as a professional athlete, retired, and met the owner of a Major League Baseball team. And part of my retirement playing baseball was I knew I wanted to have a family. I knew I liked California summers, and I didn't want to live out of a suitcase. So I had my sports agent seek out the type of opportunities I thought I wanted to be involved with. And, there were some pro athletes that had made some moves after their career, and most of those moves were in real estate. And so he connected me to the owner of a Major League Baseball team who actually had a portfolio of apartments. And so I became an apprentice to this gentleman who ended up becoming a U.S. ambassador, to Spain and Andorra, and did many amazing things around the world of technology and real estate. And I became his apprentice for 18 months and learned how to run the business from the top down. And what was fascinating about that was what I did with the Yankees as a professional athlete, having awareness around how they build team, how they attract talent, how they go out and find the talent, how they develop and invest in the talent, and how they protect a culture, not just build a culture, but keep it. Many things haven't changed over the many years of that organization. And so when I came into the real estate portfolio, I used what it took to build championship teams inside real estate companies in multifamily. And so for me, it was a very unique entry. There was a time when I didn't want to, I was literally 30 seconds away from not even being involved in this industry. I was standing in the recruiting office after, being connected here. And I looked up and I saw these leasing offices, these images on the wall, like their properties. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I didn't retire from the Yankees to do this. And so I left, got up, and the lady came out. She's like, "Oh, Patrick, you're here," and high energy, and brought me into the interview. And the rest is history from there. But what's fascinating, why I'm excited about spending time with you, and why I had you on my podcast, 5, 6, 7 years ago, whatever that was because, yeah, right. And so what was fascinating was after I spent 18 months with this individual that had created more wealth, the 700th richest person in the world. And it did it through multifamily properties. And what I learned was after 18 months, I thought, I was young in my career, and I thought, I'm going to be the president of this thing. I'm going to run this thing. And he sent me out to do all the roles in the organization. I scraped curbs, put on the maintenance uniform, collected coins in laundry rooms, auditing, accounting, financial, every aspect of the business. And that was at a time frustrating to me. And, many times I wanted to quit and retire or find another job or what have you. And it was hard to see the bigger picture. And then one mentor of mine pulled me aside and said, don't focus on what you're seeing here in the activities. You're running an $80 million or $160 million portfolio here. And it allowed me to see things bigger. And the rest is about, just knowing that, your work has a bigger impact than you may feel it does. And, these maintenance side of the business and the operations side of the business has a lot of opportunities moving forward as the customers start to relate more to that part of the business. So very interesting entry, but that's kind of how I got here. Now, how I became part of this media company and owning this platform was after about 15, 18 years of doing this, running portfolios all across the country, hiring management companies, acquiring properties, syndicating properties, every aspect of the investment cycle, I learned that what I was doing was I was finding great people. I was getting them to work effectively together, and we were getting them in position to essentially rent more apartments, grow revenue. And then I looked at that as an opportunity. This was a long time ago, where we saw an opportunity to solve for the talent strategies inside organizations. And as an investor looking at third-party operators, I knew that if I hired a third-party management company and I knew their ability to attract the right people, get them working effectively together, so then we could rent faster, lease up faster, take care of the resident, create that experience, then that would be a good leading indicator that that's going to be a good decision. So I set out and we created a research program called the Best Places to Work Multifamily. And we were recognizing companies for creating healthy organizations from the inside out. We look at 8 key areas, and that allowed us to do an event. Those events moved into technology, leadership, innovation, women's. My wife, her and I together run the business, and we now have a women's summit. So that's kind of the journey. You know, I would never have designed it this way, but it's more about paying attention to the opportunities that are ahead of us and knowing how to create a solution to the problems that people are having, and align yourself with great people along the way. So very, very interesting start to multifamily.
Amazing journey. Thank you for sharing. One of the things that you just said, and I picked up on, this is one of the many things I'm passionate about. One of the things that I'm mostly passionate about is talent, how to find talent. We're looking around, everybody's talking about the great resignation, the shortage of talent. Currently, based on the last US report on jobs, there's over 2 jobs available for each able-bodied person. So we're not even talking about qualified people. We're talking people that are able to get up and just perform any type of work. So each one of them has 2 opportunities out there waiting for them, a little over 2. How do we overcome this talent shortage? I'll say challenge. I won't call it crisis. Some call it crisis. I see it as a challenge, and also I see it as an opportunity to overcome. What is the opportunity to overcome? How do you picture this opportunity to overcome this shortage?
You know, this is where my sports background takes precedent. You know, this is everyone's looking for a painkiller, and they need to be taking vitamins, right? So the problem is that most people that are making decisions about what to do around this problem got their job in a very different way than people get jobs today. And what that means is people have more access. Everybody has a TV in their pocket. So people want to work on winning teams. And I think a lot of people focus on happiness and satisfaction. You can be satisfied somewhere, but that doesn't mean you're engaged and you're winning. And if you have another key employee that is seeing somebody else satisfied, just kind of do what they need to do to keep the job, not engaged, that's going to drive a winner away. And so my point is, you know, we are good at marketing properties, not companies. I mean, we built a whole strategic team around this. And the reality is the amount of effort that goes into think of the word talent acquisition for a minute. When you say recruiting, people see that as a cost. Staffing, a fee, a cost, an expense. You go into the C-suite and you talk about acquisition, and they hold that with the highest value. They say, well, if we're going to acquire a $60 to $80 million asset, we know we have to do some due diligence. We have to think about the future. We have to get the third-party reports together. We have to get the team together. We need to bring in the experts, the right broker, all of these things. There's a lot of money that goes into acquiring a property. And they're willing to spend millions of dollars doing this. Yet when they're pursuing another asset, remember, assets appreciate, right? People appreciate as well. So people are assets. So if they're assets, we need to align the right type of resources in going after pursuing them. Now, there's a little bit of a shift to this. If there was a feather floating here in the room and I was trying to catch it, the amount of force of my hand trying to catch it would actually push the feather away. So in many cases, recruitments and staffing challenges, I don't want to oversimplify this, but the reality is, if we were doing some of the things that we should be doing about telling the company story, telling who already has joined the organization, what they did within the organization, how they went from here to there, and how great it is to work here at this property and get to learn this and do framing walks in construction, or, you know, out by the pool and we have pinball machines in our leasing, whatever that is. If we told the story with the same amount of intention as we tell the stories about getting someone to rent an apartment, you wouldn't have the staffing problem, right? And so it's not a fix. It's more about a shift in mindset about how we storytell and get people excited about working there. This happens in startups all the time. They're buying into the dream. They're buying into the future. They're buying into changing the world, or this app is going to shift this, disrupt that. And it needs that's the mindset that we need when we go after these things. So if you want to attract the best talent and the best people, then you first have to build an organization that they would want to be part of. You know, for me, you could look at this like dating. Like, if you want to find the perfect person, first figure out who that is. And then you have to ask the question, what would somebody like that want in a partner? And you become that. And then it's a fit and it's a match. So if you want the best people, then what would the best people want inside that company? Right? What would they want? If you don't have that, then you're trying to solve the wrong problem. And so with the best places to work multifamily, there's some really great stories that come through. We've been recognizing top companies nationally for 9 years or something like that, I think it is. And there's some really great stories that come through that. And, you know, it's just important to build a great organization. It's hard work. It's not easy. And it's just easier to sometimes write a check to fix a problem. But the reality is, if you really wanted to solve it, we would think about what the ideal person wants. And you may be thinking about it in the maintenance departments. You know, if we asked, what does an ideal maintenance tech look like? One that can work on call, one that's there for the customer, has the capabilities, loyal, whatever that may be. Well, you have to ask, well, if that's what you want, what would somebody like that want? It may be the right salary, right? It may be they may need, like, to me, I think you re-envision and repurpose some of the assets and the resources going to the leasing office. The money's there to pay them the right amount. The money's there to allow them to participate in investments, create wealth for people. I have a real estate business as well, and, you know, currently oversee properties and plan to invest and build and develop all these things. But the employees that I have that we'll bring on, I want them to create wealth. I don't want them to just get a 401k. I want them to life to get better. Now, the reason why I say that is the two wealthiest people in the world right now, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. They have more wealth than anybody in the world. And if you think about the multifamily investments that we manage, it's all about protecting wealth, creating wealth. It's an investment. It's a business. And if two of the wealthiest people who have achieved the greatest success in the world are thinking like this, then I think we could learn from it. And this is what they think. Jeff Bezos knows that in the future, people will want lower costs of things. They will also want them to get things without friction, products, deliveries, drones coming, whatever that may be. So Elon Musk is thinking about things about, he doesn't want the car to be less affordable. He wants to appreciate the value of the car. It's not just about lower, he wants the customer to pay less for his product. Whereas in multifamily, it's like we're trying to get our customers to pay more for our product, raise the rent. So the money is moving all around this business. So we need leaders to understand, like, the money's there. You need to innovate, reallocate, reclassify to create wealth for others. So the residents that move in, their life needs to get better. The employees that come into our organizations, life has to get better for them. If they can't pay their bills, that's not good. So that's the goal, right? And when I say the money's moving around, I mean, they have limited partners, they have all kinds of partners. There's no reason why we can't help our employees become wealthy. And then guess what happens? They don't have to work there. They choose to work there. And that's the difference. And, so I think it's a mindset shift, but there's a lot going on there.
I love so much about what you just said. So much. First of all, the analogy with the sports team, part of your background being, a professional athlete. And I think that I actually had a guest on a show that actually spoke a lot about this, Jack Daly. He speaks about how professional sports teams are outperforming businesses in general, because, they have this philosophy of always looking for talent. For them, they're not looking at talent as an event, as I'm waiting to have one opening, so I'm placing the ad out there and I just get applicants. They have like team, second team, third team, fourth team, fifth team. And all those teams are invested in, and people move up. So there's hundreds of people that they're recruiting for, they're looking at for talent. And a professional sports team has what, like 10, 15 players that play at once, based on what sport they're in. So they're having hundreds of people for 15. I won't say that, maybe it's realistic that multifamily will do that, but then you should always be recruiting for all positions, even for the positions that don't even exist. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because, there's talent that knocks on your door, and then the bureaucrat in HR will pull this job description and say, are they checking the boxes? I've seen talent that really kills it with 6 months experience. And I've seen talent that has been doing that job for 10 or 15 years that I wouldn't really hire if my life depended on it. So how is relevant the number of years of experience? How is that relevant in a big picture? And many, many other requirements that are in a job description. Nobody's really questioning. Everybody wants to go down the line and check some boxes and then make the decision if the person is fit for the job or not. There's just so much more than that job description. And again, we're thinking, another thing that you said, we're thinking in a bureaucratic way. And then we're thinking we're in our own ideology. It's like, what do I know about recruiting? And what I know about recruiting is what I know as an individual. Me personally, I spend hundreds of hours actually reading comments and posts on Facebook groups that are related to maintenance people, apartment maintenance groups. Literally, I do spend hundreds of hours. I spend hundreds of hours on LinkedIn. I create polls on LinkedIn. I ask people. People might think, hey, this is, why are you doing this? It's a waste of time. No, it's not. Because when you make a decision based on what you just know, it's what one person knows. When you actually poll and then you have 100 or 200 people responding to a poll, yeah, it's not a scientific poll, but it beats the heck out of one person. Okay? So there's just so much value in there that's really not tapped into. And then we continue as an industry to embrace the same practices. We're thinking what worked 20 years ago, we're applying the same things. We think that's the way things ought to be. Well, they're not. So what are you going to do about it? And I think the examples that you give give your employees educated and give them the possibility to become wealthy. So they're choosing to work there. They don't have to work there because they have bills to pay. That is the shift in a mindset that's gonna happen. I know there are companies out there doing that, and I think that's going to win. That really is going to win, because COVID did many bad things, but one of the great things that COVID did for our society is that people are more aware. It increased the awareness of their value, what they're bringing to the table, and they're really not willing anymore to work, to become cheap labor. They're actually not willing to become labor at all, like to work for someone. The gig economy is real. I travel a lot, and I speak with Uber drivers all the time. Not a single person, not a single driver told me that they hate what they're doing. They're actually telling me the opposite. I would not change this for anything in the world. Why? Because they work anytime they want. They take time off anytime they want. They don't have a boss to answer to. If they want to work, they flip the switch, they go to work, they make money. When they don't feel like working, they flip the switch back off, and they go back to their personal life. So realistically speaking, how can we as an industry compete with something like that? Is it easy? No, it's very complicated. So I love the idea that you're bringing on, educating the employees and giving them like skin in a game. You can't really tell an employee, well, I'm gonna pay you $15 or $20 or $25 an hour, and I want you to have a ownership mentality. Well, you didn't make them an owner. How could you really realistically expect that they're gonna come to the table with an ownership mentality if they don't have a small piece of ownership right there? It's just not a realistic expectation. Do you disagree?
Well, I don't disagree, and I don't necessarily think it's an individual decision too, right? So think about this for a minute. Let me just pull back the lens a little bit. We have been very successful, everybody in the industry. I mean, if you're in multifamily and you haven't been able to make money through just the market, then something's wrong, right? So when you mentioned Uber and the driver having maybe nights that they're spending on Uber, but they teach a dance class, like whatever it is, their life got better because they were able to pick up additional income, maybe meet some nice people, whatever that may be. But Ford, Chevy, Toyota, all the auto manufacturers that invented the car and sell the cars missed the whole opportunity. And when I said earlier about Elon Musk, not just trying to lower the cost of the car, but increase the value of the car. What if before Ford or before Uber and Lyft, what if like Ford or Chevy, one of the automakers said, instead of saying this is a $400 car payment, the car is $30,000 and this is the financing, that's an expense. What if they were able to say, listen, this car, can make you $1,500 or $2,500 a month. And we've developed this app that allows you to make money from your back seat. And we created this marketplace for you. They missed the whole thing. Okay. So the ideas that are going to be what's next is not going to come from the people in the circle. Okay. Nobody, everybody in multifamily, I don't want to say everybody, most people in multifamily follow what somebody else did because it's safe. Okay. And it's safe. And that's not going to change. Nothing disruptive is going to come from inside like that. Okay. Just like the automakers, right? But we have to think about how to improve the lives. So we've been successful. We can look at other industries on how things disrupted and shifted things for bigger and better futures. I will tell you that if I'm an employee, so most people that are working within this industry are employees. So they may have some ownership in some deals and stuff like that, but they're risk adverse. In other words, they have a single flow of income. They are careful about their decisions and it's safe. It's like the old, nobody got fired by going with IBM back in the day, you know, what that quote. So there's a lot of safety conversations around that. And when you do that, you know, nothing really transformative happens. Okay. So if I'm in the spot and I'm a maintenance technician or I'm a manager or a regional vice president, whatever that is, and I'll go back to the analogy with sports, it's not just the sports team's job, is the players, the people, the employees have to give it everything that they've got. If they want everything out of life, then they go to work. That's how they get paid, but it's their job to create their own world and their own outcome, not their employers, right? So it's my opinion that they, in the off time, they're learning about what it means to own and operate in a property and investment. They need to get all in on their career, and the opportunities are there for those people that do that. I'm one of them. Okay. And so it's not enough just to say, I want $20 an hour, 25 or 27, and that's what I deserve. You're thinking linear, you're thinking small, and you need to be thinking like, I'm getting paid to learn how to create wealth for me and my family. And if I'm a maintenance technician, you observe those things, then you could buy your own apartments and do the things the way you want to do, what have you. But the reality is you're getting paid to learn how to create wealth for others, and if you pay attention, there's lovely people in this industry willing to share with you what to do next and mentor you and all that kind of stuff. But I would say that if you're not making the money you want to make, even in maintenance and leasing, wherever that is, it's because you got to learn how to negotiate better. You need to come to the table with more value. You need to you need to do the things that are required to get to the next level. Now, in professional sports, you know, people were out partying in college and I wasn't. I was in the gym, I was eating right, I was saying no to things. So if you want everything out of life, you got to say no to some things and, you know, get involved. So that's the essence. I want to charge people with that. Like, it's not a company problem. You see, companies are like, we can't find people. Well, number one, you're not doing the recruiting, the marketing right. The job ads are from HR, which are written like compliance related stuff. They're boring. They're not compelling. And they're all about your company, what your company wants, nothing about what somebody will do when they get the job. So it's not a job ad. It's a job description. That's very different. You know, you don't say in an apartment ad, this is the pile and the carpeting and the, you know, like facts are not enough. Right? So the employers and the recruiters still believe that they are the ones choosing. Just think about the dynamics in an employer interview. Like, they think they're the ones choosing. The candidates are choosing. And the employers haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah. Some of them, a very few did, and they're going to win. They're going to win big. For the rest, it's going to be a very painful experience, and they're going to learn through pain, through unbearable pain at times. They're going to maybe at times stop, throw some money at it, throw some more money at it, see that, you know, throwing money at it really didn't solve it, and maybe, hopefully, eventually we'll get around to understand what the deal really is. Right now, the tables have turned. That's just the reality, right?
True story.
is the candidate choosing way more than the employer choosing.
Mm-hmm.
So many, every single applicant, especially site level, a maintenance technician. You said that you have a TV,
radio, computer.
It's like has more technology than Ronald Reagan had back in the day available.
Can I tell you something?
To lead the war.
Just the nature. Let's just focus on the maintenance side of things. People say they can't find maintenance technicians. I know a group that is doing a great job finding maintenance technicians, and they're using our software to do it. And the reason why is we're using text messaging. Even if it's job fair and things like that, they have the communication tool in their phone, but they may not be at a desk like the person recruiting is, seeing life through the world they live, but not thinking like, the people that are capable of taking care of the real estate are mobile out doing work. They could be up on a roof, they could be wherever. And that's where you need to reach them. And so they do have mobile phones. And so the text messaging has been an amazing addition to finding and communicating in a channel that, the customer wants or the prospective candidate wants to communicate in.
Absolutely right. That's why this is the most powerful thing. And then the other thing is frictionless process. You mentioned, about Bezos, that he understands that he needs to eliminate friction. He indeed understands that as well. They created a one-click app, apply option. You could preload your resume, and then you go to the search box and you search maintenance technician or service director, and you pick your location. Everything that comes up on that search as a search result, you could, how fast, it only depends how fast you are. Like if you could, do like 10 clicks a minute, you could apply for 10 jobs in 1 minute on that list. And you could go down that list pages. Like you could do hundreds of applications in a matter of minutes. Now, on a employer side, somebody is receiving that application, that resume. So it becomes very interesting what's happening, right? What's the response time? I tell them, the shelf life of a resume of a maintenance person, it's 6 hours max if you get lucky. If you don't really make contact within 6 hours, I'll say more like 2 to 3 hours, somebody else will. And then if you're gonna be the 5th or the 6th person that makes contact, typically a candidate is not gonna go through 6 interviews to make up their mind.
Adrian, let me tell you this. Listen, those are the people that are hunting for jobs, need jobs, and they're on Indeed. And yes, they've made that frictionless. And you go to an employer job site, and there's like 35 questions. And so it's like, well, what's my investment here to do all this, even though that the employers have trained the marketplace that they will not follow up. Okay. So they don't know what's going to happen when they click the button apply, because out of 30 applications that they may submit, very few will get back, maybe with an automated, but like get back, the employers won't get back to them. So it trains the marketplace, right, to not enjoy that experience. The other thing that I would say is that, and again, back to professional sports, they don't have job fairs, and like they go find the people that they believe, it's extreme analogy, but they go find the talent. And so what you want to do is you want to make the content that you're producing out there in the world known that this is a company that's doing great things, that we're taking care of the employees from the inside out. We're taking care of our customers from the inside out. We are winning financially. You could win too. And we also have some fun while we're doing it, and you'll be challenged, and it's a great culture and all that stuff. And the next application coming in is going to be somebody that finds you on LinkedIn, is like, man, I've been following you guys. It looks like you just acquired a new property in Texas. I'm here. I would love to see what you guys are working on. I just kind of have a perspective, like I can see inside the company already, and I haven't even chosen to work there. That person's winning somewhere else. They have a job. And that's what I meant. Like, there are people in professional sports. I'll pick on basketball. And let's say somebody wants to be on the Celtics or the Lakers. they have to win for the Phoenix Suns first. There are certain, there's just, you have to win where you are. And typically in the job boards, you have people that are, there's some scenarios that they've got going on, right? But the best type of candidates are the ones that are winning where they are, and something drew them to a bigger and better future because of the fit that you have displayed in advance. And they're just reaching out. They're not even sending, may not even have a resume updated. Those are the people that are going to shift your organization. And that is very different from putting lines in the water and waiting for people to, to bite.
Post and pray, right?
Yes.
This is something that brings me back to professional sports, scouting departments. So I want to touch on this and get your take on it. I've been saying this for a while. Companies should actually create scouting departments, people that are scouting for talent. All they do, like literally all they do, is not like, oh, we have 3 positions open, no, just scouting for talent, like looking for talent, making contact with the greatest talent in the industry, creating this report. So when that person is ready to make a move, they'll be the first person to contact. You create that. Do you find any value in creating scouting departments in property management companies? Do you think there's any value in that?
Everyone is a recruiter in the organization. And so everybody, as they go out into the world, when they recognize talent and they know what the goals of the organization are, they make introductions. That's the way it should work. It's not something you do at scale, right? It's just something that you do internally. But again, if you don't have a big vacancy or a big, you could be growing so fast that you have to do certain things a different way. But, and if I could plug, I did a course, and I'd love to have you come in and do something as well in this course. But we did a course on a complete turnkey talent acquisition system for multifamily. And it's essentially everything from building the brand to acquiring the customer, all of that stuff. It's at multifamilytalentstrategy.com. I'd love for you to come in and do a segment in that, because it's really designed, and we have a thing called in that section called Everyone is a Recruiter. And it's specifically about scouting, or, finding people where they're winning, right? Matched to the goals of your organization. I would love for you to do something in there, because we're bringing in best places to work, people that are getting these results already. We're trying to extract their knowledge so everybody can benefit. But look, it's like anything else. You're trying to find a customer, and employees are customers. You have to get them excited. You have to show them what it's going to be like when they work there, who they get to work with, what they get to work on, where they get to work on it, right? Why it's important to the world that they're living in, what's different, all of that stuff.
I love to be part of the project to check it out and see if I could, be of any value to you.
I think you definitely could.
One other thing I wanna ask you, get your take on it. Another thing that I've been saying for a while. Companies should hire industry influencers. People that are very well known in the industry. They have a presence, they have a personal brand that's very well known. And what that's gonna do to them, they're going to naturally attract some of their people in their circle, in their network. And for the most part, they're gonna be the same quality, great quality people. Do you think that that's gonna be good? Is that a good strategy? Is there any value in what I just said?
Well, I think the word influencer can get tricky, because we're all trying to figure out what that looks like. But I think the concept has been around forever, which is like, get people talking about the thing you're working on in a way that's positive, and they've received some result themselves through that, it's more authentic to attract the type of people you want to spend time with. And so, for example, I sell a lot of iPhones probably because I talk about them. You know, Tesla did this. Tesla does not market or advertise. Their customers do. They've enabled and activated their customers to become their sales team. I think that the residents can be activated. I mean, when a maintenance technician comes in, like, why is that resident not saying like, what was an amazing experience that was like, you know, what have you? And then all of a sudden somebody sees that and it's like, wow, I could work indoors instead of on rooftops, or, you know, that a resident can activate. I think employees can activate, and then you can get strategic and reach outside through marketing and do some things. You mentioned influencers and stuff like that. That's useful. But I think it just needs to be tied to, you know, and you got to be consistent. It's not anything you start and stop. You know, back in the day, there was a time when people were selling like, you need a website. And now like nobody would ever say, well, we're going to try that for a little bit. And then if it doesn't work in like 6 months, we'll take it down. It's just, you know, so this whole strategy is here to stay, and you just got to figure out how to equip people with the tools. Like in my course that we're going to have you come inside on, I think what we talk about is most people don't know how to share things. So if you've got 600 employees, you have 600 recruiters. So why doesn't the marketing team give those employees or make it easy for them to amplify messages? Right? So you have to enable them, not just with one influencer handling one thing for everybody. It's the strategy allowing the people within it, both residents and employees, with the right messages, create the graphics, create the messages, you know, and just say, hey, these are things you can share. You look at it when people go to events. I'm speaking, you know, I'm exhibiting. People support what they invest in. And if they invest in their company and they invest in their job, they will support it. You just got to make it easy for them to do that.
Yeah, but the first piece is that, you know, you got to get a buy-in. You gotta make them feel like this is the type of organization that I want my friends to be a part of. I want to bring them on. If that piece doesn't exist, all the marketing and all the tools available, they're worth nothing, because people just go through the motions. Like, why would I bring a friend? Why would I advertise for this company that I don't even like?
Yeah, well, there's a lot to that question, and that's more strategic on the operations side, which is like, again, there's a mindset that my employer is my fate, and when I get promoted, what I make, all of those things. And the reality is, through leadership, you get them to understand, like, they create their world, right? Together with the company. And, you know, when people will support what they help build.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
When you look at what we're doing right now, we have, for 2 years, I've been meeting secretly. I wouldn't say secretly, that sounds suspicious, but privately, every Friday as part of a Multifamily Innovation Advisory Council. And we've gathered right now, as of the recording of this, about 1.6 million units inside this council. We'll be 3 million units by the end of the year. And we're doing what's called community-led content and events. So we meet annually at the Multifamily Innovation Summit. And that's where we also recognize the best places to work multifamily. But what's fascinating is it's not like, hey, here's an event, here's who's sponsored, come see this, and this is what's happening because people wrote checks to be part of it. So what we're doing is we're involving the operators, the owners, and they're telling us, these are the challenges we have. This is what we're facing. This is what we want to do. These are the bigger opportunities we want to create. And because of that, now we have that intel. Now we're creating content at our Innovation Summit and through our podcasts and everything that we do that either knocks down a problem or makes life better for people. And when they're involved in supporting it and designing it and contributing to it, they will support it more. They will invest in it more. It goes same thing with software development, beta testing, launching products, getting your customers involved so where they feel like they're part of designing what they're able to actually consume. It works the same way in employer brand.
Do you have maybe 4 or 5 hours, more hours, so we could go on?
I'm good on time. This is it's good to be with you.
It's been an amazing conversation, Patrick. Due to the, I guess, typical attention, I won't say attention span, but interest for someone, I'll say that we're about to wrap it up right here. We've been on for like 40 plus minutes. I would love to continue. I would love to continue to do like a second series. I had a list of topics I wanted to talk to you about, and actually we haven't even touched them. It's as soon as you started, talking about about talent, about like the whole thing clicked for me, and because I'm so passionate about it, I think that there's just so much to discuss on just this alone. I would love to have you for a second, third episode.
I agree. I think this is an ongoing conversation, and you are doing a great job with your podcast. And we want to support you. We launched the Multifamily Podcast Network, so we're going to see your show in there, right? And we'll get.
I hope so.
We will. You will have it in there, and you'll impact more people and more conversations just like this. And I love what you're doing. We need more people to do what you're doing, letting people see the value that you're creating in the world, and through that, a lot of big things will happen.
Patrick, I want to thank you for taking the time. I'm really grateful. It was an amazing conversation. I truly enjoy. Again, I hope to get you back here so we could, talk about the other topics. Probably have enough for at least 2-3 more shows easily. I'll hope that you could make the time and you'll have the interest so we could continue this series of conversations, because I think there's just so much value that you're bringing for the audience. Is very, very educational, and you have an amazing story besides that, and that really is important. Someone with a story like you, with a background like you, with things that you have accomplished, things that you have to share. It's just so much value. So again, I thank you. I appreciate it. I hope to have you back here soon.
Well, I appreciate you being part of it. Thank you so much.
Everybody, thank you very much for watching us. This was episode number 25 of Multifamily Chronicles. I'm your host, Adrian Daniela, and I hope to see you back here soon. Have a great day.